the deadliest campus shooting in U.S. history. At this afternoon hour, at least 30 people believed to be killed on the campus of Virginia Tech University.
Seung-Hui Cho killed 2 students in a dorm. By then, he was already chaining the doors to a building where he then killed 30 more students and faculty, and then himself in the worst mass shooting in U.S. history.
What's one word to describe a school shooting?
Awful.
Tragic.
Frightening.
Crazy. Nuts.
Catastrophic. Tragic.
What's the first thing you would do if there was a school shooting?
We do what we're trained to do. Depending on where the shooter was, we do what we're trained to do.
Protect the students.
I'd probably find my brother and my friends and get out of the building.
I'd also probably find my friends and leave.
Definitely help students out. I would definitely try to minimize, any of the problems or any of the tragedies that could occur with students. We practice the ALICE training, so certainly the ALICE training would take part into it. But try to resolve and try to make sure that the school shooter does very little, if any, kind of violence and any kind of problems at all in the school.
Hi, as you know, I'm Adrian and this is Abby. But we read the book Hate List, and Abby's gonna start off with saying some of the characters.
Okay, so the main character was Val. She wrote the actual hate list, and then her boyfriend was Nick, who was the shooter.
He contributed to the hate list too, though,
Yeah.
with some of the people, but
yeah,
it was
they
mainly Val.
so Val started it, and then Nick helped her with it. The day of the shooting, that day,
Nick showed up to school. Nick showed up to his school with his new friend Jeremy. That was like a druggie.
Okay, so basically, Val was worried about Nick because he started hanging out with this guy named Jeremy, and he was just not a good person to surround yourself with. And Val was kind of nervous, she thought Nick was gonna break up with her and stuff like that. So she was really happy when he showed up to school. But that day on the bus, Christy was bullying Val and stuff. So as soon as Nick got to school, Val told Nick about Christy being mean to her on the bus.
And Christy is a really popular girl that's friends with Jessica Campbell and Ginny Baker. They all had their own friends and their own group, and they were sporty, and they just didn't really like Val, and they bullied her, and they made nicknames for her.
Yeah, one of them was Sister Death. But so when Val told Nick, Nick was basically he was gonna beat her up, that's what she thought, and she thought that Nick was going to stand up for her. But when Nick went over to Christy,
and Val was behind him,
yeah, he pulled out a gun instead of confronting her about it.
and he shot her in the stomach. Right?
Yeah.
He shot her in the stomach, and then he started shooting all these other kids, Christy's friends.
Yeah.
And then he went over and he went under kids were hiding under tables, so he went under tables and shot kids.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them were kids on the hate list that he was mainly looking for. I think some other kids got hurt because bullets ricocheted off stuff,
Right.
and hit them, and that still hurts and can cause a little bit of damage, not a lot, as much as the other people.
And then Jessica, he had she was against a wall, and he was so close to shooting her.
Yeah, he was pointing the gun at her and saying all this stuff to
Yeah.
her, and he didn't like her because she bullied. She was like part of the group that bullied Val too.
Yeah, and then Val jumped in front of her, and he ended up shooting Val's leg, and then Jessica didn't get hurt at all.
And Jessica ran away after that.
Yeah.
And after that, Val like blacked out on the floor, and Nick shot himself. Never mind. And Nick shot himself. There's really no explanation why, because Nick isn't a character in the book after the shooting. Even before the shooting, the only moments with him in it are Val's flashbacks. Val's the main character of the story, and everything is from like her point of view. So you never really know exactly what happened. You just know that he killed himself and he shot himself.
Yeah.
And then the police came, and
Yeah.
Val ended up in the hospital. And a few days later, she woke up to her mom, her dad, her doctor, and her brother all in the room.
But basically, like, how, like, the book, like, did it, it was, like, that she blacked out, and then when she was, like, blacking out, like, she thought, like, the whole shooting was a dream. But when she woke up, she realized that it was not a dream.
Yeah.
And she was asking about Nick, but, like, no one would tell her, like, what happened.
Except for her brother. When everyone left the room, she asked her brother, like, what happened. And he told her that he shot himself. Okay, there were 2 detectives that were in Val's room. And there was one detective that talked to her a lot, and he was Detective Panzella, and he was like interrogating her and trying to make sure that she like remembered things. And it was right after the shooting, and she was like, she didn't want to even talk to him because she barely remembered. She didn't know what she knew and what she didn't know, like what was true and what wasn't, because she didn't know if it was like real. So she didn't know what to say and what not to say to him, and she had a hard time like picking out what was reality and what was like her imagination. So he interrogated her a lot, and she could barely answer any questions for the first couple days. And then
Val got sent to a psych ward.
and she had to like stay in there for a couple weeks, I believe. Didn't really get to contact people, and she did everything that she could to get out of there. Like, she made herself look the most normal because she didn't think that she should be in there, and she believed that she should like leave.
Yeah, so basically, like, when she got home, it was, like, she really didn't, like go out of the house. Like, she wouldn't even go, like, grocery shopping with her mom. Her room was a complete mess. And when she, like, went to Dr. Heiler, he suggested, and the mom suggested, that she should go back to school for her senior year. And obviously, like, she wasn't really, like,
Ready.
yeah, she wasn't like a fan of that idea, but I think she did it for her mom. So the first day she went back, she like couldn't even like walk into the building. So her school counselor took her into her like little room and started talking about college. Yeah, so then she was late to her first class, so she walked in and everyone was staring at her when she walked in. And she went and sat in the back corner, and this girl named Ginny, who got shot in the face and had to get all this plastic surgery, started crying.
And she walked out of the room because she thinks that it's like Val's fault for the shooting and stuff. Like, some people, the reason why it was so big for her to come back to school was, one, because of like the trauma, and the experience was like really traumatic and stuff. But some people at the school still thought that the shooting was like her fault and that she was still a part of it, even though she didn't even like have the gun or anything. Like, some people didn't like understand that it was her boyfriend and not her, and she wasn't really a part of it, and no one really knew what he was gonna do.
Yeah.
So some people still didn't like her, and Ginny was one of those people. So after that, Ginny dropped those classes with her and switched into different classes. And on the second day back to school, they really didn't go into detail about the school day. They just went, Val said it was like okay, and then she went back home. And when she got back home, Jessica was at her house and asked her if she wanted to join student council. So Val started getting into student council and joining that.
Yeah.
to help with the memorial for
And like
them.
the first meeting, like she was kind of quiet because she didn't really know if like the people who were a part of student council like wanted her there. But then she had like suggestions about like a bench and then a capsule at the end of it.
A time capsule.
Yeah.
For so that people from that year could like, or the victims could have things in there to be remembered, like personal items that they loved. And after that happened, Val, one time after a student council meeting, Val, her mom couldn't pick her up, so she walked to her dad's office to go ask him if he could give her a ride home. So when she went there, her dad was like, walked out of his office and didn't notice that she was there, and he went up to his like secretary and was like talking to her how he used to talk to her mom, and
like,
Val
was, like,
noticed.
yeah, and was like touching her shoulder and just like saying like sweetheart and like that kind of stuff.
But she kind of like put it off and was like, can you give me a ride home? And so then on the ride home, he talked about it a little bit.
Yes, this was
but
like
she
a-
like stopped him.
Yeah. One of the big like parts in this book was like one of like the emotional parts was the talk between Val and then her father. And
In her room.
yeah.
Her
and-
her dad came into her room to like tell her that he was gonna leave and go to live with that girl, and he was leaving her mom, and they were getting a divorce.
Okay, one night Val walked downstairs like just to get food, and she saw her mom crying. And when they were talking, her mom was just like she just needed things to go back to normal and like just really needed it. So Val told her mom that she got invited to a party. And
It was Jessica's friends, and Jessica invited her to go to the party with her.
yeah.
And at the party, this one guy like threatened her and said that like he has a gun too, and he can use it if he gets his hands on it. And
Yeah, and then when
after that, Val walked all the way to a gas station like miles away, and her dad picked her up, and then her dad took her back to his house with his new girlfriend, Briley, and they got into like a fight, and then she told them everything that happened at the party, and her dad was like not on her side, and Briley was trying to defend her and stuff, but her dad just was not on her side. He blames her for a lot of things.
when Val went back to see Dr. Heiler, he said that he thought that she should like write something to share with the whole entire school, and I don't think she just wasn't gonna do that. But also, Val went to like these offices where like there's these writers,
The reporters'
Yeah.
offices.
and
And there's this one reporter, and her name's Angela Dash. So she went down there and she talked to her and was like talking about how she thinks that she should stop, how the reports are like not true because the school wanted the outside world to see that they were living in like a happy place now, even though that's not how the school really was. Like
Yeah.
there were still issues in the school, and there were still people who were like hadn't gotten over it yet because it was a pretty big thing that happened.
yeah. So Val had this like big idea to go and like go to the victims' houses, like all of them, like the people who died, like their parents and stuff, and then all the people who are alive.
For a graduation speech with Jessica.
Yeah, and Val wanted to apologize to all of them, and they got like many like different responses back. Like some people were mad, and then some people were like just like okay.
Forgiving.
Yeah.
Most people had forgiven her. There were only like a couple that were like, oh, like you did this to my kids
Right.
and stuff. And most people like made sure that they showed Val their forgiveness, and basically when they went to those people's houses, they just wanted to like find out more information about the students or the teacher, just the victims of the shooting, and they wanted to find out like what they were gonna do with their lives and what they were gonna do before, like everything that they had planned so that they could just share it with people.
Yeah.
Val's mom is dating Mel, and he was the her lawyer for the divorce.
Yeah. But he is like super like nice and like
Supportive.
yeah, like he's just like a really good person, and I know that made the mom happy, and Val is doing better, and I think it's just like better in their household now
Yeah.
that he is there.
And since Val's graduating soon, it's gonna be like only Mel and her mom, because her brother moved in with the dad and his new wife.
Yeah.
And at the end of the book, Val and Jessica, it was their graduation day, and Val and Jessica did a speech about the shooting, and they they revealed the memorial, the bench that had the victims' names on it, and they revealed like the items that would be in the time capsule, and they just went through each of the victims and described like how they're what they were planning on doing, and what they could have been, and things like that.
Yeah, it was really cool to just like read like at the end.
Yeah, and after that, Val had decided that she was going to go get on a train with no destination, and she said goodbye to all of her family. She said goodbye to Dr. Heiler, and that was the end of the book.
Oh, Valerie.
Hi, is my dad here? I need a ride.
He's in a conference.
Hey, sweetheart, can you pull the Santosh file? What's wrong, baby? You seem tense. Oh, Valerie, you're here.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize.
Bull.
Frankie.
Dad's right. All she does is cause trouble.
I said I was sorry. I wasn't trying to cause anything. I went to the cemetery to talk to Deuce and lost track of time. I guess I should have called.
Deuce Barnes? Oh, Valerie, he's one of them. He's one of those Nick types. Didn't you learn? Everything you've got going on, and all you can do is hang around with boys and get in trouble?
No, it's not like that.
I had soccer tryouts today, but I couldn't go because both Mom and Dad were here, freaking out because you were missing. God, Valerie, I try to be on your side, but all you think about is yourself. You think you and Nick were everybody's victims, but even now that Nick's gone, you still do stuff to make people miserable. It's impossible. Just like Dad says, you're impossible. I'm sick of my life always having to revolve around yours.
Very nice. Why is it that you can't let us have just one good day? Here I was trusting you, Anne.
And I did nothing wrong.
Hi, Val. What's the problem?
I can't do this anymore.
David, we got you a book for Christmas.
Oh, wow, hate list. I'm so excited. Yeah. This looks pretty good. I mean, like, we're talking really good right here. Like, there's 5-star ratings. Guys, I tell you what, I'm gonna like this book as much as I like Mr. Carr. Watch out, watch out, watch out. Oh!
But he cut her off. Dad's right. All she does is cause trouble. I said
I don't know. I wasn't ready for that one. I said I was ready for the first one.
Hi, Vale.
Catastrophic. Say it together.
Catastrophic.
Well, you have to ask me the question
What's
first.
one word to
Do
describe
it again. Do it again and be serious.
7. I got my book.
And Jessica Campbell. Oh, that's Beasley. That's weird.
That was good.
So
Thank you. Okay.